I probably don't usually stay live the whole time during the show. So to make sure you can catch the whole show, and of course, most importantly, that's how we get your ratings. So make sure you download the app, guys, and tune in so we can stream live with you. So a few things that I wanted to go over before we get started.
What do you got?
Well, today is National Book Day, and so I thought that was really interesting. And I like to pull up those funny little, national this and national that,
Mm-hmm.
and
What does National Book Day mean? Should we have read a book today, or should we have just checked the book out?
Well,
Promise to read it later.
In my opinion, I think I want everybody to write a book now that I'm in the whole.
Oh, it's writing, so it's not just reading.
And that's my perspective on
Okay.
it.
Okay.
I think it's to each his own.
Okay.
And so yeah.
So if you've written or read,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you can be included. The more the merrier.
But in the event that that's not your cup of tea, a good read is always great. We got to get back to that. I think sometimes we get lost in adulthood, and we're so busy adulting, we just don't have time for reading or doing those kind of things.
I've been seeing a lot of posts on Facebook. A lot of people are trying to check out of adulting. Like apparently, it's too much and too hard for a lot of people. So we should do a topic on that one show.
Yeah.
How to escape from adulting.
I know, right?
Exactly. There's got to be a better way.
Now, I posted, make sure you all follow me on Facebook and Instagram, Vonnie in the City. And I did a post on my Facebook social media for Vonnie in the City. And just wanted to give a little shout out or shine to other indie authors, so independent authors that have also written a book in the sake of Vonnie in the City and in the sake of Book Day. So, Sade Evans, she wrote a book, The Cries from a Gracefully Broken Woman. You can go to gracefullytears.com or Amazon. Also, Takesha Morris, she wrote a book, Girl, Get Your Mind Right.
That's a good one.
That's available on Amazon, and she also has a link on here.
Okay.
So you guys, make sure you go there.
Check it out.
Yes, and it's a few others. As a friendly reminder, yours truly also has a book out, Good Grief. And Good Grief is my memoir, and basically it's two things. It serves as two purposes. Of course, when you see something shocking or whatever, a wow factor, people are like, oh, good grief.
Exactly.
And so I share some.
I use that term.
Yes.
Yep.
And so I think that's the wow factors that have happened in my life.
Yep.
But then also sharing the oxymoron.
Yes.
Good things that can come from something so negative. Of course, I share my losses as well, but I also share so much positive that came through it, and how I feel as if I can feel like God really showed up and showed out in such a dark time in my life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's important to balance that out. I'm glad. Hopefully it has a happy ending. I haven't read it yet. I will.
Yes.
But from your comments online, it looks like it's doing really well. So
And
congratulations.
I'm just in pre-sales. Thank you.
Exactly.
And now also, let's see here, Jamaica Cost, she wrote a book. I don't see the title, but she has posted the link, available on Amazon. And then lastly, my dear friend, she's also a radio personality, Leanne Foster. She wrote a book called I Am Woman. That is available on Amazon. So you guys make sure that you go to Vonnie in the City on Facebook and Instagram and support these indie authors. Go to their links, get a copy, spread the word, all that kind of good stuff.
Absolutely.
Now, do you have a good read or a favorite you want to share?
No, you put me on the spot.
Okay.
I haven't
We'll come
exactly.
back to
I was
that.
not prepared
That's
exactly.
okay.
Come back to me. Thank you for that.
No, that's fine. And so, also, today is the 95th birthday of our former president, Mr. Jimmy Carter. Yes.
Exactly.
So that's pretty awesome. 95 years old. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
He's an Atlanta native, so maybe he's listening. Who knows? No.
You never know. You never know. He could be out there.
And he is actually the oldest living past president in history, guys. So that's pretty amazing.
That's an accomplishment.
Yes. And most importantly, guys, you guys have heard me each and every week, and we'll continue until Thanksgiving. So, Jonesboro High School, the Majestic Marching Cardinals, guys. I hope you all are following my social media. They did an amazing photo shoot, and so I posted that. You guys take a look. The pictures are amazing. Also, I wanted to reiterate or remind you guys, the drum line is all ladies. So I love that.
That's fantastic.
I absolutely love all
Good
that
job,
girl
ladies.
power, right?
Me too. Same here.
So those are the ladies that had the opportunity to come in when they were here on Vonnie in the City, and I ran into one of them in the mall, and she was like, "Hey, Vonnie in the City!" I was like, "Somebody
I hope
knows
she's at home watching.
I know,
or listening
right?
in.
I was like, "Somebody knows me by that name. They've been listening."
Exactly. Fans everywhere.
Yes. So,
Good deal.
again, for those of you that are just tuning in, I graduated from Jonesboro High School, and so I'm so excited that the current class, they're actually next year's graduating class, but the band is going to Chicago, guys, for Thanksgiving Day Parade, and that's the second largest nationally televised parade in the U.S. So that's pretty huge for them to make it there. The reason that I'm talking about it every week is because they need some money, y'all, and they need your help, they need your support. So follow them. They're doing a lot of great fundraisers, great activities. So go to www.jonesborommc.com/Chicago, and they're also on Facebook and Instagram. And you can also Cash App them, $JHS Band. So,
so Mr. West was on last week, and he had a foundation that he was plugging. So I made my pledge, and I'm on a payment plan with that because I couldn't, it was so big.
Yes.
I had to break it up into smaller payments. You know how my checking account is connected with my savings account. I didn't have everything up front, but as soon as I get done with that obligation, the band is up next. So I'm going to do my part.
Well,
hopefully get them everything they need. So hopefully everyone else chips in a little bit.
Yes.
It adds up. So we'll keep plugging it until we get to where we need to be.
I know. I appreciate that.
Sure.
The interesting part about it is they need $56,000 to move the band.
Okay, we can do that.
Yes.
There's some rich listeners out there. I know they can chip in and knock that out in no time at all. So we will get there.
Now I want to reiterate a challenge I put out when they were here. So what I did was I asked for all my small business owners that are out there. We need publicity as a small business owner. We need sponsorships and things like that. That kind of gets your name out there. So I put a challenge out there for all of my sponsors or all of my small business owners to sponsor one child, one student to get there. And that way the student can do something recognizable for your business, whether it's wearing a patch on their uniform or whatever the case is. We can figure out all those logistics. Just sign up first.
Sign up. Exactly. Exactly.
But they're doing so many different amazing fundraisers, guys. So make sure you follow them. They're doing it all, from your car washes, your bake sales, your sipping paints. They're performing. If you have an event and you would like a live marching band, please reach out to them. Their band director, his name is Lionel Goodwin. He's amazing personality. He's a lot of fun. So reach out to him, guys, via the web or social media. And let's get these babies to Chicago. I would hate for them not to go because of lack of funds.
Absolutely.
Some of them haven't even left the metro area before of Atlanta. So this would be an awesome opportunity.
Awesome opportunity.
Yes.
Indeed.
Well, we're going to dive on in. I want to hear about your story that you was telling us about before we got on air.
Which one?
That's crazy. People that are trying to get your stuff together for your house and got missing.
Okay, exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that a little bit. So, all right. So basically, I wrote something down earlier. I spent a lot of time in my feelings thinking about things. So the topic that I came up with was, do snitches really deserve stitches? So let me delve into that a little bit. So
yes, please do.
I bought a house recently, and one of the first projects that I had done was overhead lighting. So I had lamps, and I'm like, I need an overhead light. So I hired an electrician to come out and actually put the light in. So he came out, did a great job, got paid, left. All right.
Yeah.
You think that was the end of the story, but
right.
but it was not. There's more. So the next day, the company that the electrician worked for, the owner called me up and said, the electrician did not turn in the money that I gave him, and basically told me the police would be contacting me. So I wasn't
That's
too,
scary.
yeah, exactly. So I wasn't too thrilled about that. And that was about 2 weeks ago. So last week, I think maybe Thursday or so, we played phone tag for a couple of days, and I caught up with the officer over the phone, city of Duluth, maybe Thursday or so. And basically, she had a lot of questions for me, and I wasn't feeling particularly cooperative. So I felt like, for the most part, everything that I knew, she already knew. Basically, I paid the electrician. He didn't turn the money in. I don't know him. And that's pretty much, I don't want to seem like I'm uncooperative, but I wasn't thrilled to be talking to the police. So I think, like, it is, as a culture, a lot of times we have reservations about talking too much and talking to the police. So I thought it was a good thing to talk about.
Yeah.
So my feelings were, I'll talk to you, I'll help you out a little bit, but if you call me to testify or anything like that, I'd have to think about it. Like, I don't want to be overly helpful. And I thought about calling the guy that they were accusing and saying, "Hey, do you know they're looking for you?"
Right.
I don't know his half of the story, but I feel like, a lot of times there's more to it than what you're told initially. So, I felt some kind of way about that. I really didn't want to help too much. And I thought, this is one of those things that culturally, a lot of times we don't do an outstanding job of cooperating with the police. On the flip side, and I've been looking at a lot of social media, and a lot of people are posting stuff about xxxx, and I think it's all hilarious. I love it. And, on the flip side, he, is cooperating fully. And I wanted to know what your thoughts are. What do you think about him in cooperating with the police? I think the thing that shocked me is how quickly he cooperated. They arrested him, and the same day he cut a deal and said, "Yeah, I'm not doing 40 years for people that I don't know. I'm going to cooperate. I'm going to get out of jail. I don't care if they call me a snitch." So what do you think? There's so much, right?
I know, it's a hard subject matter in that regards. I know personally people that have done both sides of the spectrum. Okay. That have been in situations just like him, spilled all the beans and got home. Yeah. Then I know on the flip side.
Would you, I don't know if you were a fan of his music or not. So this was another thing. If you were a fan of his music before, and once he gets released and he plans on continuing to make music, would you continue to be a fan of his music, knowing he kind of did one of the main things that he said no one should ever do?
Well, I don't know a lot of his music. I really just heard about it through, everyone talking, all the, riffraff or whatnot. Yep. But to be honest, the only thing, it has to be something pretty heinous for me to really just be like, I can't support that anymore. Exactly. But I feel like he made a decision for his family. Yeah. And so I can't be mad at that. You know what I mean? Was it just being a snitch? Okay, so maybe you lose your street credit, but at the end of the day, a lot of I think the thing with this particular artist, xxxx, was a lot of his fan base came about because of his street cred and his affiliation with a certain gang. Okay. So now he's basically turning on the people that helped him get street cred in order to reduce his sentence, in order to go back on the street and be with his family. Right. So, I think, from the perspective of people that supported him before, it'll be interesting if he does go back and resume his music career, which a lot of sources said that that's his plan. Right. Will he have the same level of support? And how will he be received as an artist once all this is done? I think it's historic in a lot of senses that he's maybe one of the biggest names in recent memory that has, flat out told everything, spilled all the beans, everything he knew. He even told your son, was acting up on the way to school in the car the other day. Like, he told everything, stuff that was even unrelated to the case. Yeah, everything. So it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to it, and We'll see if his plan works out the way that he envisions it to do. I mean, at the end of the day, for me, I guess I've never been a type of person that's been having street credit and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, my loyalty lies at home.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why but I get when you're in a different light, as an artist, you've painted this picture of, and I think a lot of people have to realize.
Big tough guy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people have to realize that's just a character.
Yep.
Is that necessarily, it's
Absolutely.
almost like how people say with T.I., you have T.I. and then you have Christopher Harris.
Yes.
Those are two different people.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, you got to take care of home. You got to get back home to Tiny and them babies.
Yeah, speaking of T.I., I think he had something on this subject on Facebook, which kind of cracked me up a little bit. He said, hey, it's a lot of snitches walking around. It's a lot of rats out here.
More than we know.
Exactly, more than we know.
Yes.
So, exactly. Good deal.
Good topic. I love that. And I mean, it's just really interesting. People would give you a hard time about it. But at the end of the day, if they was in that position.
Your first responsibility is to your family.
Yeah.
We agree on that. Absolutely.
And I think that a lot of people that maybe get in gang affiliations and things like that, maybe their loyalty lies a little different because a lot of times they don't have family.
Exactly. A lot of times that gang will kind of adopt them as their family.
Yes.
And, it would be good to talk to somebody kind of in that lifestyle and get their perspective. But you're right. A lot of times they have a totally different view on the world when that gang is their family. So if your loyalty lies to your family and they're your family,
right,
it's probably a little different than how we look at things.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Well, I wanted to also touch on a topic that I got from democracynow.org, and it was pretty interesting. I had heard about this, of course, we've heard it before, but to read a little bit about it was pretty interesting. And then coming up with a why. Why is it like this? And then most importantly, I'm a solution-based person.
Okay.
So I'm like, so what do we do about it?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
we'll come up with some solutions.
Right. So apparently there are 3,200 people serving life sentences without parole for non-violent crimes.
Wow.
For example, there's a gentleman that was jailed for life for stealing a jacket valued at $159.
Wow. That's
now,
terrible.
A few more stats. 80% of them are drug-related crimes. Out of that, 65% are black, 18% white, 16% Latino. So that's a huge variation from African American or black to the rest. Then some of the other examples were selling $10 worth of weed.
Wow.
Life sentences.
That's a lot of time for not a lot of crime.
Right.
There's definitely an imbalance there, and a lot of I've been watching the Democratic debates, and a lot of the candidates they're outspoken and very vocal on that's one thing that that's one of the many things that we need to reform.
Right.
That's one thing that needs to change. So it's it's a tough pill to swallow.
That's crazy to me. I was just like, wow. Now, on the economical side of it, $1.8 billion is the cost to the taxpayers.
How much?
$1.8 billion.
Billion with a B.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And so, basically, for such petty stuff, is that necessary?
I would think that there's a lot of better ways that we could spend that money. That's a lot of money when we talk about things that don't get done and projects that need help, like the band, like schools, things in the inner city. That I can think of a lot of other ways that we could spend that money. And
there's prisons are, and whether it's the jail or all the way up to the federal level, county to whatever, but they're huge money makers.
Mm-hmm.
They're outsourcing a lot of them and things like that to private institutions, and so it's almost like whatever makes money is, it doesn't really matter how it falls, and it's sad. It really is.
I agree.
But then also, those stats that I just read, they don't include sentences such as unrealistic numbers. For example, 350 years.
Oh, so those are only like 1 through 99 years or something that fall?
No, that specifically said life without parole.
Okay.
And then the other ones that have a numeric sentence that, of course, no one's going to live 300 years. You know what I mean?
I got you.
So they don't even include those.
Okay, that's insane. join.
Yeah.
So the number is actually higher.
Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible.
And so a lot of them also, as I was mentioning off air, fall under the Three Strikes Act. So you get 3 strikes and you get life in prison. And there seems not to be any, measuring on that. 3 strikes for what? So
Yeah, I think it's 3 felonies.
Is
so
it? Okay.
I think California is one of the few states that has that. I don't know what other states have it outside of California, but I know California has that. They've had it for a long time, and yeah, it's 3 felonies.
But you know what? What I found out that felonies doesn't always necessarily mean severe or heinous.
Right.
So it still kind of got you like, well, I
Yeah, that's definitely one thing that we should look at changing and basically putting our support behind people that are on the same page that needs to change.
Right. And, I've gotten dibbled and dabbled a little into politics at one point, and I don't want to say one point because it still is something in the back of my mind, but I've had aspirations to run for office.
Okay.
And so it's just so like, who changes what is my question.
That's a good question, and I think a lot of times you look at a situation that keeps getting progressively worse, and you just always feel like there's something more that you could do or should be doing to kind of correct things and make things better. So hopefully, if you're not running or I'm not running or someone that we know, hopefully somebody that we can get behind that will actually make these changes, because I know exactly how you feel when you say, think about running because you want to see a change.
Absolutely.
That's important.
And because, we talk about it, we fuss about it, we vent about it, but what are we doing about it is the most important thing. We got to take action. We got to hold our elected officials accountable. And we got to get out and do something as a community. Like you said, that particular, like the 3 Strikes Act is for
it's
Illinois.
Outdated. Yeah.
And so, but I know a lot of states, these stats cross over, maybe under different circumstances or different laws and things like that.
Right.
But we got to figure out what's happening, what's going on. And, I always say, especially when I talk about, topics like this, it doesn't even necessarily have to be criminal related.
Right.
But just, these epidemics or things that are going on, let's not wait till it hits home.
Right.
Because, we're always like, well, that doesn't have anything
not
to
my
do
problem,
with me.
not here, exactly. A lot of times people wait until it affects them personally until they jump in and take action. So let's not do that.
Yes.
No need to wait.
I know it. That's something else though. But I want to say thank you all again that are listening, that are watching live. I'm actually going to go ahead and shut my live down because I want to encourage you guys to download the app. If you have not already, please make sure that you tune in every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Via the app. I appreciate you downloading or watching via Facebook Live, but I need for you to download the app that looks like the one behind me, the purple, white, and black, Hits 92.3. The real definition of internet radio. That's for Atlanta. I want to be specific with that as well because, as you know, we recycle stations. So I'd hate for you to be listening to Hits 92.3 in New York and Miss Vonnie in the city.
Exactly. Don't want that.
So thank you all for watching. So I'm redirecting you. I'm going to go ahead and log off. But you guys make sure you continue because we have some really great topics coming up.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, David, did you have another one that you wanted to go with? Or
I have a couple of more. Every Tuesday I'm in my feelings about so many things, and a lot of times we don't have time to get through everything. But one of the couple of things that I had down was, we talked a little bit about Steve Harvey before.
Oh yeah,
and
I like Steve Harvey.
If you don't know how I feel about Steve Harvey, I'm not a huge fan of Steve Harvey. So I'll just throw that out there now. So with Steve Harvey, exactly. I've seen a couple of things on the interwebs and on social media about kind of a couple of things going on with him. So I wanted to talk about it because I feel like with Steve Harvey, there's a little bit of a double standard.
Okay.
So I was talking to somebody a couple of days ago, and I wasn't that familiar with his whole family, but now I feel like I'm part of the family. I know them very well now.
Right.
So I know Steve, I know Lori, I know his wife. I didn't know he had twins.
Hey,
Exactly.
Marjorie.
Exactly. Hopefully, I'll be at Thanksgiving dinner with them. But this is something that happened fairly recent. So I found out that Lori Hardy, Steve's
Baby.
his baby. First, she dated apparently Diddy's son. And after she dated Diddy's son, she actually dated Diddy for a period of time. And I kind of feel some kind of way about that, because if it was you, or if it was my sister, or if it was someone else that we did not know,
Yes.
and Steve Harvey found out about it, I think he would be hypercritical about that situation. So it seems like, Lori Hardy is making the rounds out here, and it's not a good look. So, that's the first item. The other thing is, and this is kind of related, but I found out that the twins, his biological children,
Yes.
either don't get invited or don't attend a lot of family-related events. For instance, apparently there was this trip recently where Steve Harvey, Lori Hardy, his wife, and Diddy and his entourage were in Italy. The twins weren't there. And then someone said either, I think it was Christmas or last Thanksgiving, the twins weren't there either.
Yeah.
So we don't know if they were not there because they weren't invited, or what the situation was. But the bottom line is, it seems like there's a fracture there a little bit. And I feel like if it was my family or your family, Steve would be all over that. I could see us on Steve Harvey's show and him, critiquing us and giving us the business for things not being what they should be.
Right.
So when it's him and his family, though, we don't really see him making any statements. It's not really out there. It seems like, he's just going along with it because it's his family, and it's, his family, I guess, gets a pass where your family or my family may not.
Right. Well, you made some great points.
Thank you.
I don't know much about the twin situation. I didn't hear it, but now that you've mentioned it, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right, because I saw pictures and I didn't see them in any of them.
No.
So now on the flip side, I will say that they're married, so maybe they were with their husbands' families and things like that. I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to be optimistic here. I don't know.
I heard there's some drama going on between the new wife and the twins, and I heard that is really kind of affecting the family to a certain extent. So I heard that plays a role in their absence at a lot of these events.
Okay, alrighty. And I don't know, I mean, if it's new drama, old drama, whatever, because they were all at Lori's birthday party. She turned 21, I want to say either last year or the year before, and they went on a big trip, and her theme was legal AF. So you all know what the
I got
for
you.
that is.
Okay.
But and they were there, and from the distant outside looking in. It's not like I hang with the Harveys or anything, but
You don't. You sound like you know an awful lot. You don't have an insider.
From the distance.
We'll find out.
It seems like everything is peaches and cream, but it's really difficult to say because with our own immediate circle, it's hard to tell. Things look happy at home, and
now if you had a daughter that has been out here kind of making the rounds on the dating scene in a very public fashion, like Lori Hardy has done. Apparently she's, dated a couple of guys, and then she kind of, it looks like she's climbing the dating tree with the caliber of guys that she's dating. So, she kind of got in the circle with the son, and then she got promoted and started dating the dad. How would you?
Was that really a promotion?
Well,
I mean, I guess it depends on what you're looking at. Are you looking at his bank? Then yeah. But if you're looking at
what's the downside of going from the son to the? Okay, you're making all these faces. You know what? Exactly. They can't see your face. Exactly.
To me, it's okay. I'm speaking from Lori's shoes. She's
Right.
much younger than I am.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Now, yeah, I did hear that a lot of it was the age was a
That's
factor.
right.
But
That's a
did
huge
you
factor
did you
for me.
not know that when you started dating this guy that he
Yeah.
was 20 years? No, I'm saying Lori. Now
right,
that you're
right.
that did you assume Lori's identity? So Lori, tell me, did you not know how old Diddy was when you started dating Diddy?
he old as my daddy.
Exactly, exactly. So when did you discover Diddy's real age?
When I was dating his son.
That is too funny, but yeah, it's I when I see stuff like that, and I'm like, okay, you knew this going in that he
Right.
was much older,
Yeah.
and before you were fine with it, and you know nobody said it officially, and I'm doing the air quotes,
Right.
nobody said it officially that they were dating, but it was known.
They're
And
everywhere and they're very close
Exactly.
and lovey-dovey. And he's
They're-
at, like you said, Thanksgiving with the Harveys. and
That
not
is
with
that is
not with the
that is
Combs.
I think that would be a very weird scenario, and
Yeah.
I have daughters. I don't think that I would have been as cool as Steve was with me, my wife, my daughter, and then her partner, her very
Like-
we're peers, we're in the same age group. It would have been a very awkward event. And they
Yeah.
seemed like they were just all getting along. And like I said, Steve didn't come out and preach to Diddy or preach to Lori. So he seemed, by his silence, he seemed to be on board with it.
And I agree with that. Silence is also, to me, a form of acceptance.
Exactly.
Or agreement. Now, I also heard on the flip side, and again, this is all from what we hear,
Mm-hmm.
but I hear that Mom, Marjorie, has a similar history. I wouldn't necessarily say father and son per se,
Oh.
but just making her rounds
Wow.
before she got married to Steve Harvey. So people
Now,
were making
so
that.
now that he's off the air, is it safe to say that Marjorie will be looking around in order to get a promotion?
I hope not. You think the TV show was his biggest moneymaker?
I
'Cause
don't
he's
know.
got so
I don't
many
know. I don't
streams.
know Steve like that,
Yeah,
but
I
I
don't
know
know
that
either,
it's if you're not on air anymore, and I heard there was some drama around that too with him going off
Right.
air, with his staff being kind of annoyed with him by the way that they were treated.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I don't know, but if she's maybe the daughter got it from the mother.
That's what I've been hearing. Yeah,
Yeah.
she get it from her mom. I
She
think.
get it to get it from her mama.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's the case, what can you expect?
Right.
That's unfortunate, but that's kind of how things are.
And to my knowledge, I don't know, since Steve came in the picture as she was an adult or late teen, I guess. So, of course, since that's not her biological father,
Right.
we don't know what
Right.
the upbringing was or
Right.
is and things of that nature. So it's a lot of factors to consider.
That's true.
But either way, I would expect Steve to be feeling some kind of way.
Yeah, I
Because
would.
it's not a good look. by
It's
any
it's
means.
not a good look. We
And
completely agree on
with
that.
a high profile, father and son. Like, who doesn't? I mean, I don't know too much of anybody, but I know Diddy. You know what I mean? Like, everybody knows.
Exactly. Everybody knows Diddy, and
Yeah.
kind of the way that things kind of evolved. It looks like if we're on the outside, and it looks like she's just out there kind of climbing the ladder, and that's how things work. In the entertainment space a lot of times. So
Yes.
hopefully she got more Twitter followers. Hopefully she boosted her social profile. But that's kind of how things work sometimes.
Maybe she's coming out with an album or something. and she
Maybe
needs
so.
Diddy to put her on.
Produced by Diddy. Exactly.
Yeah.
Take that. So
Okay.
Exactly.
So we'll have to follow
That's
the
good
story.
stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting though. But like you said, it's a double standard, and we, as vocal as we can be sometimes, we can also be biased or quiet when it hits home.
Exactly.
On the flip side. So
Yep.
yeah.
maybe he was talking to her a lot behind the scenes. I did read today that after every high profile breakup, he's bought her a very expensive car.
Oh,
So
really?
yes, I did read that. Apparently, he just bought her a Rolls Royce Phantom.
So Steve bought.
His daughter. Mhm.
Really?
Yes. After every high profile breakup. So I cannot verify this. I read it online, but everything that you read on the internet is true. So if Google said it, I'm being funny.
But
But
Google
yeah,
said,
exactly.
right.
Google said, Google's your friend, bro. But yeah, I saw it online, and we may follow up with that a little bit because it was interesting to me, and hopefully it's interesting a little bit to you guys out there
Right.
as well. But that's my diatribe on Steve Harvey.
Yes,
So
yes. That's
I'm sure
pretty
we'll talk about him
interesting.
in more because he's an entertaining character, but a lot of times I feel some kind of way about people putting too much stock into what some people say.
Right, right.
So, it feels like this is one of those things where, he says one thing to one set of people, but this is happening in his own family, and it looks like by his silence,
Right.
he's condoning it. So,
Yeah, and
Exactly.
I think we also put certain people on a pedestal, especially if they come off as a specialist or a guru or whatnot.
Yep.
And then on the flip side, being a personality or a celebrity or a face of.
Exactly.
So just so many different factors. But at the end of the day, he's just like me and you. He got a few more dollars in the bank.
Just a few.
But so it's. We have to not be so shocked when we see everyday things going on in celebrity lifestyle. Like, oh my God, Beyonce
Exactly.
went to Walmart. Like, okay.
Yeah. She puts her well, I don't know if she puts her pants on one leg at a time. She probably
Jumps into them, right?
exactly. She probably jumps into it where things really hard. They're on her. I think Beyonce has a lot of special things going on.
Yeah, she does, absolutely.
Yeah, I think she's in another category, way away from the Steve Harveys of the world.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna ride out Steve Harvey for the next couple minutes and before we wrap it up. But interesting enough, talking about regular stuff or whatnot that celebrities do. Apparently, he doesn't go to the grocery store like at all.
Steve Harvey?
Yeah.
Okay.
And apparently his wife does. So, and then whoever they, I guess, hire to do whatever for them.
Okay.
But so apparently.
Did not know that.
Yes. So apparently, Marjorie was out of town, and whoever the homemaker is by payroll was unavailable. So Steve had to go to Kroger's.
Wow. That was probably an interesting trip for Steve.
It was. And so he talked about it on the morning show. And yeah, he was completely lost in the grocery store and couldn't check out. And so by the time they were leaving, they told him, Steve, he does like, Uncle Steve, come here. Don't come back here without Auntie Marjorie again. So just basic things like he was trying to pay and check out, and he didn't know that he's supposed to use his own debit card. He was, doing the old school, handing it to the cashier.
I actually still do that sometimes, just because I'm so used to them doing it. I'm guilty. I'm guilty of that.
Well, she was trying to walk him through it, and it was like really interesting. Like he didn't have a clue of anything that she was saying. So she was like, "Just swipe it," and he was like, "Just insert it," and he was trying to swipe it, and so he had no idea what the chip was. He couldn't understand what she was talking about, and then she was like, "Put your pin in," and he was like, "You don't know my pin because I don't know my pin." So neither one of them knew their pin, and so she ended up running it through as a credit instead of a debit.
Wow.
And she
Poor
asked him, was it credit or debit? And he's like, well,
I
don't know. Right, exactly.
Exactly.
He didn't have a clue. And so it was just so interesting, like you just get to that level when common things you have no clue at. Like
I wanna get to that level one day where I forget how to pay for stuff. You know what? That's my goal. Hopefully we'll get there.
Well, another interesting thing he was saying is one of his luxury cars, he said the name of it, but I wasn't even familiar with it. But apparently the gas tank is behind the trunk. So he went to the gas station to pump gas, walked around the car several times, and said he just got back in and left. He couldn't figure out how to pump the gas.
He could have Googled it. That's the first thing I would have done. But I guess if you're Steve Harvey, things are different. But I had one other thing that I know we only have a couple of minutes, but I wanted to get your reaction on one other thing. So I was on Facebook the other day, and I saw someone reposted something that happened here recently. So we were talking about this pre-show. 3 teenagers where were they? I have my little notes here because I was prepared. So 3 teenagers in Conyers on September 16th at 4 a.m. They were masked. They got into a shootout with the homeowner. 2 were 16, 1 was 15, all 3 died. The homeowner, according to a lot of stories that I read, lives with 3 children and his grandmother, and he's a truck driver. So we were talking about this a little bit before the show.
Yeah.
The aunt of 2 of the boys that were brothers posted a picture on Facebook with the 3 boys with angel wings, and in the picture that she posted with the angel wings, one of the boys was actually shooting a bird. Like it was, yeah,
wow,
he was pretty. These were rude boys. Yeah, they were rude boys. So the aunt basically put, next to the picture, I want answers on what happened.
Yeah.
So, we were talking about this a little bit before the show. We don't know all the answers, but what we do know is it was 4 a.m. Mm-hmm. These were 15 and 16-year-old children,
right,
at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And, the only answers that are important is, where are their parents, and why weren't these boys at home at 4 a.m, or maybe in the process of getting up, or at least not in the street,
armed and dangerous
at 4 a.m.
And I have to do my research on the story. I hear there's several different stories out there.
4 versions there.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't see initially. Now my question, since we talked about it pre-show, was, did they even make it in the house, or did they get shot outside, like execution style? Like, I mean,
there was a shootout. So
right.
Basically, according to the story in the AJC, they started shooting at the house and people that were outside the house at 4 a.m. Don't know who those people are, but they opened fire, and the homeowner returned fire and killed all 3 of them, and they all 3 died either outside or en route to the hospital or at the hospital. Okay. None of them actually made it inside. But, basically, I wanted your reaction to the, I need answers. Well, the only real answer you need to get is from the parents, and why weren't you doing your job and allow, your kids to be out at 4 a.m.
Because at this point, we won't get real answers. We only have a one-sided story.
True.
We could, the other parties involved,
they're not talking.
Gone. Exactly.
Right.
So, it's an unfortunate situation. It really is. And, it makes me scared because I have a son and he's 11.
I do too.
I'm like, okay, I feel like I have complete control. However,
would you feel guilty if it were your sons? Would you feel the blame for what happened?
I would, absolutely.
I
yes.
would too.
Yeah.
I would too.
I hear people all the time say, well, you can't control these kids. And I mean, I don't have a late teen, so I don't know.
At 15 and 16, I feel like you should have a little more control over where they are and what they're doing.
And I agree, and I'm blessed that I can say I have that with my son. Mm-hmm. But when he was little, we had behavior issues, and I ended up nipping it in the bud, and I did extreme measures, and I sent my son to military school.
Okay. That is an extreme measure. It sounds like something else. Exactly. This will definitely be something to lead up to the next show.
Yes, but some of the kids, and I'm trying to get him a little bit more worked up to come on the radio and talk.
Okay,
because I would love for him to share. But he's got a good friend of his that goes in on his mother.
Oh no!
And I see the little boy at school, and he comes and hugs me, and sweet as pie. Hey, Miss Fleming, blah blah blah. And
but I want to be like, raising hell.
Stop being mean to your mom.
Exactly, man. I guess if his mom doesn't care.
But she does. She calls me in distress.
Oh, wow.
And dad is absent, and she doesn't know what to do. So they actually went to military school together, and she has threatened to send him back because now they're at a different school together, my son and her son, and she doesn't know what to do. And I feel horrible for her because even when my son was acting out, he knew when mommy is in the picture or daddy at the time, he's tightened up.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so I can't imagine having a child that, because every kid's going to do stuff. But at the end of the day, I can't imagine having a child that
just does not listen at all.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's crazy to me.
It's crazy to me too. And
And my heart goes out to parents like that. But then on the other side, you have parents that just don't care and aren't doing what they're supposed to do. But
Yes.
yeah, it's so much more. We gotta talk. We're gonna talk
Absolutely.
about that next time.
I'm looking forward to
Yes.
it. Hopefully you're looking forward to it too.
Absolutely. But you all, as always, thank you. It's a pleasure. Of course, we can't do this without you all. We will see you next week. We're going to go ahead and sign off. Make sure you all stay tuned for the next show. We have a sports show coming up next, guys, so stay tuned. But you're live. This is your girl, Siobhan Noel, my amazing co-host, David. And
Hey,
you're
hey.
live with Vonnie in the City on Hits 92.3.
See you next time, guys.
Thanks.